Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Right Stuff, the show where I talk about writing and stuff. On today's episode, I'll be giving a crash course on Batman. He is vengeance. He is the knight. He is some weirdo in a bat outfit. Now, for those of you not in the know somehow, Batman is one of DC's biggest characters, and arguably the most famous non-powered superhero. He doesn't fly, he doesn't punch walls in, he doesn't lift buildings, or cross over the Atlantic Ocean on his bare feet. He just uses his wits and his fists. Now, motivated by the tragic death of his parents, young Bruce Wayne dedicated his life and his multi-billion-dollar fortune to fighting crime, because apparently therapy was out of the question. Batman has no superpowers. He is, however, a genius at the peak of human ability, and has a wealth of knowledge about martial arts, crime fighting, subterfuge, and science. He uses his cunning, stealth, intimidation, and sheer brute force to overwhelm his opponents and hit them where they're weakest. He knows how to escape any prison, sneak up on any opponent, master any technology, and strategize for a large number of situations. And when you inhabit a comic book world, that gives you a lot of potential situations. If there's a crisis out there, Batman likely has a solution for it. Over the years, he has fought street thugs, supervillains, aliens, eldritch beings, and demigods. Which is great, unless he fails to properly protect his files. People tend to catch on fire when someone like Batman doesn't back up their data. But don't think that this makes Batman some weirdo with no life who lives in his basement. Well, alright, not just that. Although it's true his mission and obsession are key parts of his character, Bruce Wayne is a bigger part of the Bat than you think. The whole idea of whether he could ever retire or find happiness are long-running themes. It depends on the writer and time period, of course, but Bruce Wayne does recognize his own worth as an influential member of the wealthy and powerful elite. Whether it's in spearheading city reforms, dealing with ex-friends of the Waynes who became half-shark people, as one does, or dealing with whether his father could, in fact, keep it in his pants outside the sanctity of marriage. While some might write him as extremely paranoid, antisocial, and ruthless, Batman actually greatly values his family and allies. Chief among those are his butler/guardian, Alfred, his ally, Commissioner Gordon, unless the story draws attention to how vigilantism outside the law is a bad thing, and his partners/sidekicks. More than just a mentor, Bruce has been family to the assorted Robins and Batgirls under his wing. And he has a surprisingly close friendship with Superman and other members of the Justice League. Team-ups that once started as cheap cash-ins of DC characters would later blossom into actual dynamics of respect, largely stemming from Batman's hidden but uncompromised moral compass and understanding of misfits and victims. So while he's not exactly the guy you'd pick to lead, he's the guy you'd pick to plan and have your back. Batman has been written in a number of ways, but I can mention the three main ways he's depicted. First, there's the super serious, super grim Dark Knight. Batman at his most serious, facing the grim, the horrific face of crime. This is how he started back in the Golden Age, actually, when he would actually gun down and hang his villains of the day. And it's been flashed out so that he's one of the poster childs of comic books being taken seriously. Second, however, is the Camp Crusader. For, faced with flagging sales and disapproving parents, Batman entered the Silver Age with a sidekick, a brighter costume, renewed optimism, a legal partnership with the police, and some weird adventures. Above all else, he had Adam West. Now, these two worlds, the light and the dark, would come together into the Justice League, combining elements of the grim, strategic Dark Knight with the fantastic and more benign Caped Crusader. In these scenarios, Batman is part of a team ensemble and usually plays a straight man or planner, adapting to outlandish situations with frightening speed and an unflappable demeanor. But even though he's the most serious of the group, he's still more light-hearted and emotional and compassionate than his darkest days. But as always, the seriousness of the premise is no indication of quality, and each writer could focus on a number of different things. You could write a ridiculous comedic situation on the grimy streets of Gotham, or present Batman with a deeply personal and philosophical dilemma from a hot Neptunian warrior princess! Because, like any good character, Batman doesn't have to be just any one thing. Now, here's a curious thing I'll close with. Although a large part of Batman's charm comes from his lack of powers, his skills have sometimes been taken to virtually omniscient levels. Basically, Batman can beat anyone with enough prep time. Yes, you've heard it. It got to the point where Batman could never be defeated, according to fans. He'll always win as long as he can prepare for whatever he's fighting, and he's always prepared according to them. His utility belt and any particular area of the world would become a hammer space storage, a pocket dimension like the Looney Tunes use. Just reach in and take out whatever you need to save the day, filled with whatever solution he needs for the crisis at the time. It could be kryptonite deposits, Nth metal weaponry, a spare sinestro core powering, or one of the many, many, many Batbot powered armors. No matter how esoteric it may seem, Batman knows the right Tibetan heart-slowing meditation to trick the Tanagarian heat sensors so that he can strike the right nerve cluster to knock out the alien Gordanian mercenary, and deploy the Kismarian technovirus to sabotage their superweapon, which he has been saving for just such an occasion ever since he bested that technopath in Kismaria. And then he makes a sacred salt circle to stop the ancient mystical Tanagarian demon. Well, given that the guy usually has no major social life to speak of, I can understand why people might expect that of him. They might also just expect that their favorite character should never be beaten, and they just play to their strengths. I mean, if the man's got no time for friends or family, he must be throwing all of that time into being a control freak, right? But that's the sort of thinking which forgets that he totally connects with his orphan sidekicks, and that Superman, not Joker, brings out the best in him. People think he's the borderline Asperger's sociopathic Sherlock, but a complete Batman is more like Holmes and Watson rolled into one package. Then again, who cares about being a well-rounded character when you can brood and win every fight? That's all I wrote, and thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, feel free to like it or subscribe to this channel. If you want to read more, you can take a look at my website. Until next time.